All right, everybody, welcome back to the KSR YouTube channel. Today, because you guys seem to love them, and I don't mind filming them, but it's a shop update video. And all of our lifts are up and functioning. 1, 2, 3, 4. Big truck in the shop. So, because we've got all these new lifts, we kind of need to redo how the shop is set up. So, we've got rid of a few projects. The Viper's gone, Donnie's car's gone. We're getting set up for next week where I will be gone on Midwest drags with Cletus and Mullet. So we're gonna take a good portion of today and just work on rearranging the shop to try to make this space work a little bit better. So yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do today. And just, the shop needs a good cleanup. Like, we try to occasionally mop the floors, but like under the stuff that's on the edges, it gets dusty and dirty and things, so we're gonna do some cleanup. Stay tuned. All right, so what are we doing to the big truck? Well, the big truck is due for some fuel filters and probably an oil change because I'm hauling Mullet to Edgewater to begin the Midwest drags. At least that's the plan. Hopefully they get it done down there today. Today is Thursday, and they are firing it up and possibly dynoing Mullet today with the new big block and twin 94s. I'm hoping to make it down there, but don't think I'm gonna be able to, just because I got stuff to do up here, and I got my kids. They're chilling in the office while I'm out here working. Dad life. Kids are off for the summer, so they get to come with Dad to work, which I usually shorten up my work days and we take a day off and go do something fun during the summer, so I'm not just bringing them to work all the time. But yeah, we got to change some fuel filters in that. Grant's vet is going to end up over in Donnie's lift, where we are going to continue the cage build in that. We are going to wrap up the trimming of the body on Spencer's car and start making some tubes to go back in this thing to begin the roll cage starting next week and the week after. So we can see we still got a little bit left to trim out, like in the A-pillar wise, to get all that weight out of there, because we're going to be tucking the roll bar right against the outer body there the best we can. Got to pop the windows out in the back. Just basically get the last of the inner structure trimmed out that we're not going to be using, and then we'll get the wheel tubs down for it, kind of fit those maybe while there's no cage in the car, so we can get a super nice fitment to the body. At least I think that's what we're gonna do. We might not, we might, at least we'll get a nice profile if we can do it with the no cage in the car. But we're even gonna be getting some kind of shock on the black and red striped Viper, because we've got a list of other parts to do to that. Still haven't got our shocks back. I want to tell the story, but the guy that's got the shocks watches the videos. Give me my shocks back, buddy. Yeah, it's a sad story. It's just a sad story. So anyways, we're waiting on the shocks for that, but we're gonna jam some pieces of wood in so that we can roll that car over and probably into this lift, and then Spencer's car will go right here while we're working on it. But for right now, we got to get my fuel filters on. So probably gonna do a little time lapse while we get to rearranging and shuffling around all the shop. So just kind of cool to see how things move and change while we're working. So hope you enjoy it. Talk to you back in a little bit. All right, so the area that we decide needs the most attention is going to be this back wall, where we kind of do all sorts of stuff on it. Like, we've got some fabrication stuff over to the left with the band saws and the belt sander, and then our cold saw was kind of on the other end. So we decided we need to kind of free up some space here, and you can kind of see us kind of just standing back and taking a look at it sometimes and trying to decide what the best plan of action is going to be. And the first move is to kind of pull everything off the wall, including our sheet metal brake that we don't really use all that much. But when we do use it, we like having it. So we pull everything off the wall and sweep and mop underneath it because it hasn't been done in a long time. And then here in a little bit, you see we take our shelf that's got all kinds of stuff on it and paints and everything, the one right there under the BTR and the HTP banner. We're going to take that and pull everything off of it so that we can relocate it down closer to the corner and take one of the other shelves that's really not all that wide, and we're going to turn it sideways so that we can access both sides of the shelf because it's got all of our Milwaukee stuff on it, like our power tools, and it works a lot better to be able to access two sides of the shelf for all of the tools that we've got instead of them just kind of being in a big pile where we have to reach over one tool to get to another tool. And anyways, it just ended up really busy. So I'm going to let this time-lapse roll on for a little bit, bring back some of the old time-lapse music, and then we'll be talking to you in just a minute. Well, now that we've played through the old classic time-lapse song, you can kind of see that we have gotten the foundation laid, I guess you could say, for moving the shelves around. And I kind of wish I had set up the camera in a little bit different location so you could see a little bit more detailed of what we're doing. In fact, I even zoomed in a little bit on the angle, the camera angle that I had. And I just feel like I could have filmed that a little bit better. But anyways, you'll notice that kind of, if you look close, you can see we're resetting back up our speakers and our radio. And that's just the first thing that's got to happen once we get this stuff set back up, because we got to get our tunes back going again. I mean, we don't get to play tunes while we're recording just because I've got to worry about copyright violations when we're on YouTube. But when we're doing time lapses or we're just in the shop cranking out work, we've got the radio going, usually blasting, something to get us going and keep us motivated. But at least for me, I like having some kind of music playing in the background. Sometimes it's blasting super loud. Sometimes it's just a little bit of background noise, but that's just me. Oh, there goes one of my kids. So, we're making some progress on this and feel like it's going to make this corner of the shop a whole lot more efficient and make it to where we've got better use of some of the area, especially the fabrication area. You'll see where we've got our band saws and belt sander and stuff and our cold saw. You'll see how that kind of shapes up here in a little bit. And plus our welders, they're on carts, and the way the wall was set up before, you basically had about a half an inch to roll them into each of their slots. We had a half an inch extra, so we were always kind of running the welding carts into each other and clanging them off the sides. And now you'll see, once we get this stuff freed up, that there's some extra room, and we don't have to worry about everything being quite so tight on the wall. And Drew's actually working on a hanger right now to hang the belt sander belts on. So we're going to be doing a lot of stuff like that to maybe move some more things up onto the wall. All right, well, as you guys can see, we have moved some things, painted this here shelf. So it's not so rusty. We had some kind of like chemical spill up here, and it made a mess of things. So it's at least kind of one color again.
So you painted it in the shop?
I did paint it in the shop. Got a little paint on the floor right there. We're just not going to talk about that.
It matches too.
Yeah, we just won't talk about that. Yeah, So we're going to stack all that back in there, or stack all of this back in there, and then rearrange this wall, maybe rearrange that wall over there. We don't know. Let's see what all we can get done today. I've actually got to leave in a couple hours to go to gymnastics with my youngest daughter, so that's what we're up against. See you guys back in a little bit. All right, so I like this camera a little bit better because you can kind of see a little bit closer what we're doing, rearranging the shelves. And like any good shop rearrange, at least for me, I end up throwing away a bunch of stuff that I haven't used in forever, because in the time that it has sat, it's kind of turned to junk. Some of that was cans of paint. Some of it was different tools or different materials that we no longer use anymore. We had basically had some rubber hose that had gotten old and stiff and really wasn't worth anything anymore, so we just chucked it. I found a box of some wiring stuff, like random old wire that we had taken out of some cars back when I first started at the old shop. So, just stuff that we don't really do harvesting of harnesses at this shop. We just build all of our own, where kind of in the beginning I was doing whatever I could do to get jobs done, and I might have, taken some of the factory wire and used it in a project. And these days there's what I feel is better wire available, like with the Tevzel wire that we like to use. And even in just having new automotive grade wire for some of our cheaper harnesses, we end up just kind of starting over again with some of the shelving, because there's just stuff we don't need or don't use anymore, and it wasn't worth hanging on to. I forget who it was years ago that had told me, if you don't use something in 6 months, throw it away. Well, some of this stuff had been on the shelf for 8+ years, just dragging it around the shop to move things around and waste time having to clean it up, and it's just time for it to go on down the road. So you can kind of see the new setup now with the Milwaukee stuff hanging on the center shelf. and it's a whole lot more accessible. We feel like it's easier to get to the chargers, and just I think it's going to be a whole lot better of a setup. So feel free to follow along while I'm going to let another of our old time-lapse songs play for a little bit here, and then we'll be back to wrap this video up. All right, well, we're getting down to the last of this time lapse. You can kind of see how everything's taken shape. You can maybe see a little bit of the hanger that CJ made to hang the squirt bottles on that have some of our different lubricants in it. Like, you know, we've got one for automatic transmission fluid for lubricating when we're using an aluminum carbide, for an example. And once we get all that wrapped up, we're going to start moving cars back into the bays to get to working on them. Get Grant's car over into the fabrication bay here, and also get Spencer's car pulled back because there's going to be a lot of cutting and grinding on it next week. So, and then now CJ and I are kind of going through the beginnings of reorganizing the pegboard to try to tighten up some of the stuff on it. We also got to move this wooden pallet over here, which is a box of stuff that we just got in from Mosier. And we are Mosier dealers. If any of you guys need anything from Mosier, feel free to hit us up, and we can get you set up with, you know, anything that they offer for your car. We also sell a bunch of other brands. You know, we're direct with TRZ, we're direct with Holley and all of the companies that they own, and I mean lots and lots of other stuff. Direct with AFCO Shocks, Motion Raceworks. Everything that you might need to go build a race car, we can source for you to help you get your project going down the road, or the racetrack, or the road racetrack, or the rallycross course, or the circle track, or whatever it is. Well, that turned into an all-day project, but I think that is way more efficient. Compacted everything in a little bit more, let us group all of our tools better, like our fabricating tools, And then we're gonna reorganize the wall like we started to there. Tighten up and see I've got the hammers all together, got the wrenches all together. Yeah, I've got a few wrenches. Just different sets that I've accumulated, because you know how some brands are a little bit different than another brand. Sometimes they fit where other ones won't, different length wrenches, all that stuff. I even have drawers with even shorter wrenches than all of those. So, yeah, we're gonna keep after this next week. Or no, I guess today's Thursday, so we got tomorrow still. So we'll get after that, wrap that up tomorrow, and move the vet over so that they can work on that while I'm gone next week. They're gonna work on this while I'm gone next week for Midwest Drags. I didn't even get to replace the fuel filters on my truck. So I'm gonna have to do that tomorrow for sure, before the weekend, because we're taking that to Orlando this weekend. Taking one of my other, so taking all the kids down to Orlando this weekend for a water park, because it's one of my daughter's birthdays next weekend, and I won't have them that weekend. So while I've got them, we're gonna go have a birthday party day down at water park. So that's gonna wrap it up for this video. Kind of random shop type stuff, but it seems like you guys really like that. I appreciate all of you guys watching. It's been super fun to see the channel growing, all the view counts going up and all that other stuff. It's really something to think that people that a lot of you I'll never meet, but you like watching what we're doing here in the shop. So we appreciate it. See you guys next time.